Everyone should hate this. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. Let's watch it. This is bad, yep.
I wasn't around to witness the extinction of the dinosaurs, nor was I there to see the death of the final saber-toothed tiger. But boy,
they need to bring those back. Like with gene editing or something. They got to bring back saber-toothed tigers.
howdy, I am lucky enough to be here to witness the extinction of physical games.
That's right.
I swear, Sony treats physical media the same way the Men in Black treated people that witnessed alien activity. Get the neuralizer out. Look here. No such thing as discs. There's only digital. They have now just driven the final stake in the vampire's heart, the evil menace known as...
Well, here's the worst part about this, and I don't know if Charlie talks about this in the video, is that Xbox, it seems like, have confirmed that there's going to be no disk drive inside of the Xbox, the next Xbox. So the reason why you didn't have this problem happen last generation is because Sony shifted it with making PlayStation 4 more consumer-friendly. But now that Xbox and PlayStation are seemingly aligned in this ideology, now we're going to have a totally different situation.
Physical media. They have announced that they are ending physical production in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. For those that don't know, this means there will never be a physical disc for a PlayStation game, even if it's not a first-party title, because in order to even have a physical game on Sony's platform, it has to go through Sony. Thus, there will no longer be that green light, that thumbs up that lets you make a disc for their platforms. It is only digital going forward. There is
and you can see also another reason for this is like now they don't have to design the console with the disk drive. Now they have more space in the console. It's going to mean that you don't have to spend resources on that, which is going to lower the price of the console. I'm just kidding. It's still going to be $1,000. But like theoretically, that's the way that they would sell something like this.
Only Zool. It's unhinged insanity because this comes only days after Sony just pulled over 500 movies from customers' accounts that they paid for while offering no refunds for it. So
this should be illegal, by the way. You shouldn't be allowed to do this. If you pay money for something, I really don't like the concept where you buy a license for something and then it can just be removed arbitrarily. I think that if a company wants you to buy a license and not have actual ownership, then you need to have better consumer protections to where people that don't have that ownership still have other things that they can get instead of that. This is literally why we hate this. Yeah, and that's the problem, right? And they shit on pirating? Yeah, definitely. It's dumb. So, like, what you really need to have, like, here's a great example. Why is it that Apple doesn't have the lightning cable anymore? It's because of the EU. The EU just told them no. They said, no, you can't do this. So if you really want to see this change or you want to see any sort of like a change in this, you need to be expecting the government to be doing it. Because if the government isn't doing it, nobody's doing it.
So customers had 500 movie titles that have now just fizzled into the ether, into the fucking back rooms, and Sony says, suck our dick. You don't even get your money back. So you paid for...
You should get your money back.
Limited access to these films. You rented them fundamentally, even though you were under the impression that you were buying them and owning them. But because of this digital landscape,
deceptive.
you don't own anything.
Exactly.
You are paying for a ticket that gives you access for a set amount of time, depending on the companies or depending on the licensing. The movies are getting pulled because of a licensing issue with Studio Canal, but it's Sony's...
And literally, like, I want you guys to understand this. If the government just said that you can't pull a user's license for something just because your license expires, they have to still be able to access it. Every single movie company and every single production company would say, okay, you want us to jump how high? All you have to do is literally just tell them what to do. Like, it's not like this is an impossibility. They just figure it out. Yeah, they will figure it out. It's not like, oh my God, well, if we don't have this, this means movies, like, they can't make movies anymore. What do you mean? You still have DVDs probably in your own house.
Platform, and now all the customers that wasted their clams on it have nothing to show for it.
Exactly.
It's just a void. It's blank now. You will own nothing and be happy, and Sony shamelessly makes this announcement in light of that, while also announcing that they're shutting down the PSN store for PlayStation 3 and PS Vita, meaning hundreds, if not thousands, of digital games that existed on those platforms are now gone forever and not preserved because there wasn't physical copies of them. They were just digital titles there. So they are genuinely right in your face, hitting fucking Fortnite emotes on that ass, laughing and goatsing in front of you, showing like, yeah, you will own nothing and be happy. Look, we just took down this store, revoking your access to these games that you paid for. They're gone, Buster, and there's nothing you can do about it, Slime. Not even the Dragon Balls could wish these back into existence. Shenron is powerless against PlayStation. But let's not get too...
Well, you know what Super Shenron is? Super Shenron is the EU. Super Shenron is the United States government. We could literally just make it against the law for them to do this stuff. I want you to understand this. We can literally just say, like, this is against the rules. You can't do this anymore. So understand that. We control the government. And if there's enough people that are like us that speak up and that are outspoken about this, we can literally just change the way the rules are. The government won't take this seriously? Okay, then get more people. If you get enough people, here's something to keep in mind. And this is a lesson learned in all of the best and all of the worst things in history. If you can get enough people together, you can do anything that you want.
Rambunctious off rip, maybe they've got a really good reason for it. In response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. Oh, shifting trends. You mean like how when GTA just announced with no physical edition, people were rightfully fuming, pointing out how awful that is in light of everything that's happened in this industry, where you can just have your access to the things you purchased revoked at any point in time. So if you don't have something physical, you literally own nothing. You own...
In my opinion, I think the solution to this is not mandating physical media. It is instead mandating better consumer protections from the government. I can't see a world where you can force people into making physical media, but I can see a world where you can have better consumer protections and better licensing understanding that's communicated to the user and also that gives the user more privileges. Because here's the problem, right? Is that when you buy something from Home Depot, you own the thing that you have from Home Depot. You can do whatever you want with it. Licensing is a problem because they have too many of the controls and effectively, basically they have too many cards on their side of the table whenever they're licensing, and the consumer needs more cards. And the only person and the only group that can give the consumer more cards is the government.
The idea of something, it's imagination, SpongeBob and Patrick in the Box, imagining that they own their games right now when it's digital only. So if anything, the shifting trend in consumer preference is swinging back the other way to preferring physical media. Because of how bad this whole...
I don't think that's true. I only think that's true inside of things like, for example, the record industry with vinyls versus CDs. But I don't think it's true in terms of, selling physical media. And also, I mean, you can just look at data on this. It seems like people buy PlayStation games more often as physical media than they buy other forms of media like Xbox games or PC games. But, I mean, very clearly there's a reason why Sony is doing this. And the reason why Sony is doing this is the same reason why every GameStop is full of Funko Pops. It's full of Funko Pops because nobody buys video games at the store anymore. They all digital download them. And I would challenge even Charlie. I want to see the last 10 video games that you played, and I want to see how many of them you have a physical copy for. I bet it's going to be less than 5. I do. Because at the very end of the day, the reason why these companies are getting rid of physical copies is because nobody is using them. That's the reason.
Digital only shit has been.
And the solution is not making physical copies, it's having better consumer protections. Maybe a hot take, that's what I think.
As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical disc to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued in January of 2028. Also, again, a load of barnacles, this is horseradish. People are wanting more physical now. Like, for me personally, I've been a big advocate of physical media for at least like the last year and a half, if not 2 years, because of this trend that we've been seeing of just losing access to what you've spent money.
I don't agree. I agree with Charlie's sentiment, but I don't agree with his application. And I can give a counterexample with something like Crimson Desert. So Crimson Desert, some people got the game early, but the game wouldn't play because it was hard locked inside of the console to not allow the game to be played until a certain date that was locked into the console as well. So I think that even if you go and you use only physical media, what's to say that the console couldn't just prevent you from running that physical media with its software? So like that's what I'm saying is like the problem fundamentally is a lack of consumer protections and a lack of consumer rights. That's something that can manifest in not having physical copies, but it can also manifest even in having physical copies and having your access to using that physical copy revoked by their first party software. That's it. You need to install off disk anyways. Well, I'm just saying in general, that's the issue with DRM. A lot of things, yeah.
You're buying nothing. You are not buying anything.
You're buying a
license.
license,
And they're just dangling their dicks right in front of our faces. Ubisoft unapologetically said consumers need to get more comfortable not owning their games. Like, how can you possibly be supportive of this? And people...
To be fair, I think that I think that quote was taken out of context, but, again, like, okay. I mean, it's like it. Yeah, okay. Just
aren't. Like I said, I think the preference is shifting away from digital in light of wanting more physical. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. Also, something
a lot of people are criticizing me saying that. So he was interviewed and he was talking about the differences between the way that people consume video media and, like, for example, TV shows and movies, and how people have moved towards becoming more comfortable not necessarily owning movies or TV shows anymore because they're watching it through streaming. And so he was comparing that to video games, and he's saying that the reason why that hasn't happened with video games is because people aren't more comfortable with that, and people need to become more comfortable, and the reason why they're not is because they don't trust companies. That was the context of the conversation, and I think that I still disagree with it, right? You should be able to, like, if you buy, this is my opinion, right? If you buy a video game, you should have access to playing that video game, period. They should never be able to take that away from you. They should never be able to deny you service. They should never be able to just like tell you, oh no, you can't do this anymore. It should be your game that you own, that you get to make decisions for, and that's it. Besides redistributing and then reselling the game, or doing so, or not just reselling, but like copying and reselling the game, I think it should be fine. And you could literally make that a law. By the way, you could just make that a law.
Noting this doesn't, like, they're saving a lot of money on not making physical games anymore, but it's not going to reflect in the pricing. The games are still going to be $70, $80 games.
$90.
So, like, you're still getting slapped around with the pricing. It's not like this is going to bring down the cost of a now spiraling out of control industry.
I think this is another good point that he's bringing up, is that if PlayStation was able to announce this and say that because of this, we're going to be lowering the price of our premium titles by $5 or $10, I think that immediately people would be very accepting and probably begrudgingly accept it, and most people would be happy even. But the problem is that we all know that they're going to cut their costs, and the consumer isn't going to see a single cent of that. There's never going to be a point where, like, the consumer actually pays a lower price, or there's more value added to the consumer's experience because of this lower option possibility.
This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. We'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation and how players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer to purchase new games. Whether that's at retailers or the PlayStation Store, we remain committed to delivering a world-class gaming experience to our fans, and we thank you for your continued support. Hey, pal, you just blew in from Stupid Town? If you are a digital-only platform, why the fuck would anyone choose you over Steam? Like, genuinely. You have a worse store, you shut down your stores too. You literally just shut down the PS3 store and PS Vita one, so people wouldn't even feel comfortable buying from your store, considering at any point in time they'd have to be like living in fear that you're going to swoop in like the boogeyman and take away the things they bought. You have a much weaker store in terms of titles than Steam, so why would they choose you? Like, yes, it is more expensive to build a PC that can handle, like, you know, more high-end
The reason why people choose Sony is because Sony has exclusives that Steam doesn't have. That's the reason why they keep using exclusives as a way to do it. They're basically using exclusives as a way to keep themselves in the market, because in a free market where every single video game could be played on any console, not a single fucking person would be buying a PS4, a PS5, or an Xbox. That's why Xbox sales have gone down. It's because people are just buying PCs instead. Why would somebody do that? And actually, when I say nobody, I that's actually not true, because a PC has a higher price point, and so some people couldn't afford it. But I think that astronomically, you would see way less people buying PlayStations because they could just use them on PC instead.
But there are solid entry-level PCs out there, and yes, while PS5 is cheaper than that right now, I imagine the PS5 prices are going to go up as well, reflective of Xbox price increase. I think that's the writing's on the wall. There's going to be a price increase pretty soon. So eventually the gap's not going to be that big in terms of like price discrepancy between PS5 and PC. And
my opinion is that what you should do is that you should invest in developing and building a PC yourself that is $1,500. And your $1,500 PC will probably last you longer than your $900 PlayStation. It will also double as a work machine. You can do other things on the PC as well. And I think you can improve it and upgrade it at a lower cost than whenever you would have to improve and upgrade inevitably to the PS6. So, that's easy for me to say, just get $1,500. Many people don't have the option to do that, and that's why they're buying PlayStations.
Again, PC has a much more robust catalog of games to choose from in the digital-only format with Steam.
Everyone wants PC.
So why the fuck would anyone ever even consider shopping exclusively on the Sony PlayStation Store after you keep going scorched earth on physical media and taking away people's products that they bought, thinking that they owned them?
Well, that's the main thing, is that like if you weren't removing things that people already owned and taking them away, I don't think people would be as worried about that, because you don't really own the games that you have on Steam either, but people love Steam. So the problem is that you have a precedent where you remove content and people don't have any recourse for it. You're not getting your money back. You're just fucked.
The way they're treating this shit, I wouldn't be surprised if they start going door to door, treating people that own physical PlayStation discs like terrorists. Like, excuse me, we're going to need to sweep the premises here. We need to check your house. Do you have physical discs here? We got.
Are you hiding? Are you hiding physical discs of PlayStation 5? Do you have copies of Demon Souls under the floorboards?
A tip. And they just start like taking it physically out of your hands to make you shop at the store. A store which, by the way, is more expensive shopping digital only on older titles. So if you bought the physical copies for some of the games here, like this tweet illustrates, you saved money getting the physical edition on like God of War, Ragnarok, Gran Turismo, those kind of things. But
this is a great insight. I've never thought about this before, but he's right about this, that they maintain the higher prices for these games via digital copies versus whenever you were able to buy them at Blockbuster, and, you know, like the older games would just go down to $15 and you could buy them anyway. No, Dustin's very right about this.
Now that that's off the table going forward, these games presumably are never going to get cheaper on the PlayStation Store because they're still charging full price for these older games on their store. So they're looking to even make more money off of going digital only when getting physical down the line has been cheaper. Now they fully got it by the titties here. They fully control it directly. So they never have to bring the price down because there's only digital options to choose from now. You can't get a physical edition now for these upcoming games. Thus, the price doesn't ever have to go down if Sony doesn't want it to, and it looks like they really don't want it to. Still paying full
price. It's going up. Like, I mean, this is it. And the problem is that here's the worst thing about it, is that right now we are living in an age where instead of the consoles competing with each other in order to deliver the best experience to the user, it's the consoles that are waiting for each other to break the ice for the worst living experience for the consumer so they can continue to meet that same lower barrier. So, for example, as soon as the Steam machine comes out and it's announced to be $1,100, then you see the price hike for the PlayStation. After you see the price hike for the PlayStation, then you see the price hike for the Xbox. And I think that really sucks. So Asmon's starting to see why people still buy physical. Well, the reason why Sony did this too, I think this is the real reason. I mean, it's because not a lot of people buy physical copies, and manufacturing, distributing, and selling them isn't worth it. That's the reason why they're doing it. Like, there's not, like, yes, there are secondary, second-order beneficial effects that they have, but the very base reason is because nobody's buying them anymore.
Nice. For some of these older titles to this day. Now let's take a peek at the bright future of digital only with Sony's immaculate track record of having stores that they shut down and take away the shit that you spend your money on. This is their announcement about shutting down the PS3 and Vita store. After nearly 2 decades of supporting the PS3 console generation, we wanted to let you know we'll be closing the PlayStation Store on PS3 as well as Vita. PlayStation Store on PS3 will close in select markets starting this year, followed by global pressures for PS3 and Vita next year. That means new content purchases will no longer be possible once the PlayStation Store closes on these devices. To ease the transition, players will still be able to download previously purchased content after the closing date for the foreseeable future. As the PlayStation Store continues to evolve to support modern commerce systems, including updated payment processing standards, PS3 and Vita are no longer able to support these updates at the level required. As a result, we will need to close PlayStation Store on these devices in the time frames as followed.
Yes,
they
makes
then
sense.
list out the time frame where eventually life support will be pulled on July 2027. That's doomsday. We know this news may be disappointing to PS3
Makes me
and Vita
feel
players.
old. It makes you think about how crazy that is, right? That, like, you know, we all grew up like going to the store and, you know, you go to Walmart or Target or somewhere and you go to GameStop and, like, you know, EB Games or Game Crazy and you get like your fucking video game and like that's it, and you spend like $50 on this new video game, and like now everything's like way more expensive. It's all digital. I mean, the hobby has really changed in a big way. I think it's changed in a tremendous way.
Hold a special place in their hearts for this generation of gaming. They represent an important era in PlayStation history. It wasn't an easy decision. As they continue to expand the PlayStation experience on newer devices, most of our users are playing on today. We need to focus more resources on delivering the best gaming experience on these platforms as we look towards the future. To our amazing players, we want to give our heartfelt thanks for your ongoing passion and support, which they love to keep wiping their ass with, by the way. Thanks for all the passion and support, Sony fans. We're going to keep taking away your games, by the way, and no physical media, by the way. Thank you again. Big thumbs up. Come give us a fist bump. Which has helped inspire us to shape PlayStation into what it is today. What? A pile of dog shit? Like, it's insulting. We're excited for the future ahead as we continue to push the boundaries of play.
Yeah.
We look forward to having you on this journey with us as we explore new game worlds and new adventures that have yet to come. What a heartfelt message to the community and to gamers worldwide.
Wow.
Hey, you should shop with us digitally. And yes, we might just shut it all down at some point, so everything you spent hundreds if not thousands of dollars on will vanish, and you have no recourse. That's just something you're going to have to live with.
This is, and also, by the way, they have to do this. Like, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news here, but you can't realistically expect PlayStation to infinitely manage the PlayStation 3 store for the rest of time. Like, that's not sustainable. Eventually, they're going to have to do something in order to not have to invest money into something they're not making any money off of. So these are problems, again, these are problems that need to be resolved legally and with legislation and rulings. Because fundamentally, this is like all of that. That's like a fine print thing. And it's like, okay, it kind of makes sense. It kind of doesn't make sense. Why not? Because I don't think you should be like, why would a company do something when like nobody's using something, right? Like, you're going to get to a point where there's like less than like 1,000 people using a PlayStation 3 store. And how much money does it take to update that store and have it continue to be functional? And is it worth investing that as a company? Probably not. That's just the way every piece of software works. It is like Microsoft. That's the way Microsoft works. Every piece of software in the entire world works that way. Like, that's just how it is. But the problem really is that you don't have any recourse to do something whenever you buy, like, let's say a game, and then they take it away from you. That's the big problem that I have an issue with. Like, whenever you had something and then they revoke the license because of some arbitrary reason, that needs to change.
Why aren't you getting your wallet out? Why are you guys not shopping on PlayStation Store right now? This is exciting. This is coming from a place of passion. We're pushing boundaries here for a generational experience for our community. We're doing everything. We're bending over backwards for you.
Somebody says don't start where you can't finish. Okay. All right. Name one piece of 80s software that's still operational that you still receive support for today by the company that originally made it. That requires, regular updates, that's constantly updated. Or 90s. You can do 90s too. 90s is fine. We'll give him a minute. I can only think of Steam. Steam wasn't in the 90s, number one. And also Steam, you don't own any of those games either. You can't download any of those games locally to begin with. They can revoke the license for a Steam game too. Like, if your Steam account gets banned, can you still play your Steam games? No. This is just the way it is.
You bitches. You're so selfish. What? You want to own your games?
Uh-huh.
Are you crazy? You want to own your games? No. You think you want to own your games, but you don't want to own anything. You want us to control it. You want us to take it away at some point. You want it digitally. Please, come on. Get in here. It's stupid, man. It's so stupid. They're so out of touch, it's painful. Naturally, everyone's pointing to this with the PS4 where they showcased, here's how you share your games on PS4, and then they hand each other the physical copy and say,
This is what made PS4 so dominant too.
Thanks. This was a massive dunk at the time, pushing back against a lot of shit we were seeing the industry starting to do at that point already with how they were handling, like, sharing games and such. And this was Sony lat spreading here and making disc-based games a large part of the PS4's identity, which became a big selling point at the time that really propelled it above the competitors. And
it was. And I think that's what made, that changed me from being an Xbox fan to being a PlayStation fan, personally.
They made it clear with PS4 that physical was something they valued greatly and, the importance of being able to share.
Well, here's what happened. This is just the truth. People stopped buying physical copies. They stopped buying physical copies. They stopped using physical copies. And now it doesn't make sense to make them anymore. I don't understand. I get that people are upset about this, and I think that we need better consumer laws, but I don't know why this is so incomprehensible for people to imagine that a lot of people just aren't buying physical copies anymore. That's just the way it is.
Game back and forth, physically passing it to one
I don't know
another.
what to say.
This was a huge successful campaign that they ran about that. So a core part of PlayStation's identity, not even that long ago, was these physical discs.
It was.
Being able to share the physical discs like that. Look at us now. Look at how quickly shit's changed. And changed for the worse. Significantly worse.
I think COVID is what really kind of made it happen, is because COVID totally normalized digital distribution and digital consumption. And now you have people that are how many 24-hour Walmarts we used to have? Now we hardly have any. So COVID really changed the way that people consume things. Whether it is consuming media, consuming food, shopping. You have Instacart. It's such a huge thing now. Everything now is different. And I think that COVID shifted us away from that.
There are no
changing
benefits
consumer
to this
habits.
change. There's no one that should be excited about this, because why would you as a consumer even want to have the chance that what you bought disappears?
There is no benefit to this to the consumer. This is absolutely true. I can understand why Sony is making this business decision, and I think that it probably is the correct business decision, but at the same time, there is no benefit to the consumer.
You spent your money on it. You should own it. But you don't. And they're not even being honest with you about what you're doing. You're not even buying to own, you are renting from them. They're not even calling it what it is, which is renting. You are getting admission to this product, a license to this product for...
And this is something that we allow them to do because the government is written in a way that allows this to happen. We could literally just, like, let's take a step back here, okay? What is ownership? I say I own this. Do you want to know why I own this? It's because if somebody comes into my house and they try to steal it from me, the government says you can't do that. And, you know, to a functional extent, it's because maybe if somebody comes in and tries to steal it, like, you can stop them from doing that, right? Ownership is not real. Ownership and private property are complete abstractions. They're a societal abstraction. So to the extent that they say you can't own this or you don't own this, you have to always remind yourself that the concept of ownership in itself isn't even a real thing. So if you're applying and you're saying that according to our fake made up rules, we get to do whatever we want, I think it's time to change the fake made up rules. Does that make sense? So who owns it then? Ownership is defined by either a larger power or the person who is able to exercise power to control something. That's their TOS at this point. The TOS doesn't overrule the law. Like, you can't sign your TOS and it says, now I'm a slave to Sony, and you have to report in so you can go and make video games. TOS does not overrule the law. That's not how it works. Following that logic, you own your games on Steam as well? No, you don't own your games on Steam. You own a license to play those games.
However long they deem necessary, or however long their deals with the licensor, like in the case of the movies, lasts. Mm-hmm. But you as a consumer could very well end up with nothing, like they just take it away from you.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be something you're okay with. Like, it shouldn't. If you are okay with it, you're wrong.
And you have to stop it with the government, because these companies are going to do it. They will do this because it's in their best interest. Everybody will always act in their own best interest. And consumers have to do the same thing by advocating for policies that put them first.
For being okay with it. I'm just going to tell you right to your face. That is dumb. You should own what you are spending your money on here in this industry. And they're not even...
You should have unlimited autonomy around consuming a piece of media that you spent money on. If you spend money on a piece of media, you should have every right and every privilege to use it for as long as you want, and they should not be able to take it away from you.
Advertising it as anything other than you owning it. They're trying to mislead you with what's actually happening in this digital-only process. And it's just out of control. It is truly out of control. I can't... Like, I had a hunch that Sony was going to go this direction, especially after the GTA 6 announcement. I had a feeling. I think most people kind of had a feeling in their gut.
We all knew this was going to happen because of changing consumer habits, unironically, right? Like, no meme, most people digitally download. And I honestly am wondering this with Charlie. You look at the last 10 games that Charlie played, how many of these video games did you actually buy a physical copy of? I bet it's the minority. Now, maybe I'm a fucking idiot, but I bet it's the minority. I bet most people are digitally downloading. And that's the bottom line. People are not buying the physical copies anymore, so they're not going to spend their time selling them. Duh. The fundamental problem isn't the distribution, it's the control.
But I didn't think it would be this quick. This is a week later that they're just boldly, brazenly making this announcement that they're wiping their ass with physical media. Disc-based games, they're going to be gone soon. I thought it'd take still a couple more years before they felt confident enough to just pull the rug there and just say, like, all right, it's gone. But yeah, they did it, and it really sucks. Anyway, that's about it. So yeah.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. And I think it's very annoying. And I think that it will continue to get worse until people are able to organize and exercise political power in order to hold these companies accountable. Here's the video. Make sure to give it a like. I love Charlie's videos. I watch them pretty regularly. You guys know all about that. So, yeah, that's it.